To create a checklist template, I'm going to navigate to the Templates menu and choose Checklist Template, and then click Add New. The first thing I'm going to do is fill out what we call this header information. I'm going to create a template on how to deposit checks. So the first thing I'm going to fill out is the estimated duration. How long does this take? I'm going to say 30 minutes. That's in general. Remember, this is a template, not a task. So when you use this template to create a specific task for a specific customer, any of this header information can be customized for that customer. The days to due date field helps you create a due date. When you use the template to create a task, you're going to schedule it on a start date. The start date is the date it shows up on somebody's to-do list. The due date is then put in here. So I'm just going to say you have 2 days to get this done. The type is your list of arrow types. If you haven't already created your arrow types, you might want to do that before you create any templates. This is bookkeeping. Assigned to, company, and contact are generally left blank for templates. There are exceptions, but generally it's safe to leave these fields blank. Priority is hard-coded. It can be normal, elevated, or critical. When a task shows up on someone's to-do list, elevated and critical priority tasks are different colors. You can add a hat to the template. You can add an arrow group to the template. I'm not going to get into exactly what those mean today, but you can find that information on our knowledge base. Publish status. Now, you can create templates that you share with your managed accounts if you're using Arrow Advisor. So if you're using Arrow Advisor and you have managed accounts that might be looking at your templates, you do want to pay attention to publish status. It's safe to leave it either as draft or firm only. Public templates would show up in any managed accounts template list. You can indicate an author so that people within your firm can see who created this template and maybe even indicate who's responsible for maintaining it. You can add a list of apps used so that you could sort your firm's templates by the apps that the checklists are written around, or you can leave it blank. This apps used field accepts HTML, so if you want to get fancy, like the Arrow library, you can even put in app icons here so it looks pretty. Now, billable and fixed fee are indications of how you're charging your clients for this service. Billable means you're charging by the hour for it. Fixed fee means it's part of a fixed fee engagement. And then the subject is, what is this checklist template for? What is the name of the task? So I'm going to say this is depositing checks. You can put some comments in here. Anything you put in the comments box will be copied over to every single task you create from this template. So if you put comments in a template, you want it to be very generic. I'm just going to go ahead and continue. Now we get to the heart of an Arrow template, which is the checklist. You add your checklist one step at a time. So I'm going to add a new step. The order number controls what order the step will appear in on your checklist. So I'm going to order my checklist by 10 so that later I can come back and add more steps if I need to. The name is a general description of what this step is. Now, it's good to keep the name of the step brief, because when somebody is in Arrow doing a task and they're checking off the steps, the name is what is copied into the time notes automatically. If you want more instructions, you can put them into the description field. The action link is a place where you can paste a URL where the user can go to take the action that's described in this step. So we happen to have a deposit split that we use in our firm for bank deposits, and we have it saved as a PDF that you can fill out online, and I'm going to paste a link to that PDF link that we use. As you go along, it's a good idea to save changes every few steps. That ensures that your work won't be lost in case you lose internet connection or accidentally close this screen. Now this step is telling the user to add new pages to an existing PDF. It might be that a new user doesn't know how to do that. So I'm going to add a help link that takes them to some Adobe knowledge base that tells them how to use Adobe Reader to add more pages to an existing PDF. And this step, telling the user to create the deposits in QBO, would be helpful if it had more information on exactly how to create those deposits. So I'm going to look for a procedure guide that I can add to one of these columns. To do that, I'm going to open the procedure guide list in a new tab and just search. Here's one, making deposits in QBO. Now you'll notice that it's in the arrow library. I want to remember that because that makes a difference, and that it has an ID of 60. So if I go back to my template here and I look in the library ID column, I can link to that specific procedure guide so that the user has a little more information on how to do that. Now, if I had a procedure that was specific to my firm, it would have a different type here, and then I would put that ID number in the SOP ID column. Now that I'm finished adding my steps, the final step in creating my new arrow template is to save and close the screen.